Hello, and this is a new section in Unreal Engine Learning, and in this section we are going to create assets in Unreal Engine. In our previous chapter we used all ready-made assets, and just using the camera we created some cinematic animation. Now the next stage here is to create our own assets, and assets are built in Unreal Engine using 3D modeling. We are going to explore how are we going to do this 3D modeling in Unreal Engine. So before we jump into 3D modeling, I want you to be introduced to some basics about how actually 3D models work. Now everything starts with a dot, and this dot we call it as a vertex. So in the screen, if I move this vertex and create one more vertex like this, I have two vertices. This is the line that connects these two vertices, and this line that is connecting these two vertices we call it as an edge. Create one more vertex and place it somewhere here. One line connecting these two vertices point and another line connecting like this. So now when we have three vertices, this is going to create a surface called as a face. And now this face, it is going to actually receive light from any light source, and it is going to reflect the light back to our eyes, and depending upon the quality of the material and the type of the light used, the color and the structure of this face is going to change. So this is the very basics of 3D modeling, where everything you see is made up of vertices, edges and faces. Now the face you are seeing is called as a triad. Triad means it has just three vertices. Now for example, in this case 1, 2, 3 and 4, and when this is connected together we are going to see the face. See, the face that is created by four edges, we call this as a quad. A quad consists of four edges. Similarly, if you have a face with more than four edges, now in this case this face is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 vertices and 5 edges, and this type of structure we call it as N-gons. If any face is made up of more than 4 vertices, we call them as N-gons. Here you see two spheres. This sphere, what you are seeing, you can see this is made up of all quads, whereas the sphere that you are seeing here is made up of all triads. The basic difference between other 3D software and Unreal or this gaming software is, in other 3D software, once we design the model, we then put it to render. We render the frames, we render the animation or the models frame by frame, with each frame rendering taking from 1 second to 100 seconds. And then we assemble it and we see the final model. But in Unreal Engine, this is called as a real-time render software. It is a gaming software where the rendering happens instantly. There is no other process of render. Whatever graphics you are seeing, it is coming in real time. And in all these real-time gaming software, models that we use, whatever might be the model, it is all converted into a format called as Triad. So basically understanding these concepts, later on now let us jump into Unreal Engine. Now before we step into Unreal, in your video description or in course description, you are provided with a link, and in this Patreon page, if you scroll down, you have one section called as attachment. Here there are two files. Click first on houseplan_images.zip and then click on the satvicoffice.zip. Both these files will be downloaded. Now first take this satvicoffice.zip file and cut it and come into the folder where you have placed your Unreal project. In my machine it is in D Unreal projects. I will come and paste it here, right click and click on extract all and click extract. So, this is going to extract this around 3.2 GB of data. Unreal project Satvik Office, you have satvikoffice.u project, right click on this and click on show more options, and here you have switch Unreal Engine version. Click on this and change this to your latest version, which is here 5.6, and click OK. Now launch Epic Games and now come into Unreal Engine library, and now here, so I will just double click to open this project in Unreal Engine version 5.6. Now here you have an error about this floor architecture. Right now click clear and then close this. Our Satvik Office is open and this is the pre-built level. We are going to build our own level. I am going to come into the content drawer and in content right click and choose new folder, and I am going to call this as maps. Now come into file and choose a new level, and here I am going to start with an empty level. Click create. As soon as you create, go to file and choose save current level as. Now come into content maps and you just save this as modeling practice. Now as of now this entire level has no lighting. So instantly let us add skylight here, and now from 5.6 it is very easy, as we can come into window and you have this environment light mixer. Open this. Now click in the order all these 5 buttons one after another. Create skylight, create direction light, create sky atmosphere, create volumetric cloud, and create height fog, and close this, and also come here and choose file save all. Before we start, we have to go to edit plugins, and in plugins come here and search model, and in model if you just scroll down you have all these plugins, and in this you have this modeling tools editor mode. Then you have one more here, static mesh editor modeling mode, and enable this MIDI. It gives you a warning saying that this is a beta version. It is giving you a warning that still it is in beta version. So now I have enabled modeling tool editors mode and static mesh editor modeling mode, and then now it is telling me restart Unreal Engine. So now come here and click on the restart button. Now Unreal Engine has restarted, and every time it restarts we are getting this error message, and we need not worry about it because this is from the starter content. So I will just clear this and close this, and you have this plugin window open. Close this plugin window. For our modeling purpose, we had created a new level, but it is always opening with the level Satvik_office. Now every time when I launch Unreal, I want my level to get open. So we had saved it in content drawer, content maps folder, and you have this modeling_practice. If I double click it, it opens. So to open this, every time I launch Unreal Engine project, I can go to edit project setting, and here come into maps and modes, and here you have editor startup map. Here instead of Satvik Office, now you just select your modeling practice level, and even in this you click here and select modeling practice, and then now every time when I launch, the map that we are working on will be opened automatically. Now just close this. Now once we have installed the modeling plugin, now if you come into this selection mode, now a new mode have been added here called as modeling. The keyboard shortcut for this is Shift+5. So now once I click on this, I will come into my modeling menu, and here if you carefully observe, On the left end, you have different icons. You have favorite, create, select, xform, deform, model, mesh, voxel, bake, UVs, attribute and miscellaneous. Now, in this we shall explore one by one, and the very first one is create, and in create you have a lot of primitives that you can create directly in Unreal Engine, and the very first primitive here is box. So, now when I click on the box, you can see immediately a create box menu is going to open, and the very first menu that you see here is static mesh, volume and dynamic mesh. You have three options here. What is this static mesh is? Static mesh means now whatever model I am going to create here. See, now if I bring the mouse over my viewport, you can see a cube running down. I can just place it anywhere here, and now this is a static mesh, means this model will not only be present in your outliner, but this will also be saved on your hard disk as a file. If you go into edit and project setting, and in project setting if you scroll down, you have one menu of plugins, and in this plugins we have this modeling mode. When I click on modeling mode, the default mesh object type what you want you can select. I leave it at static mesh asset. So, when it is left as static mesh asset, now what happens is, if you open this generated asset, you have asset generation location, auto generated world relative asset path. What it does is, as soon as I create any of the asset, that asset will be actually saved in a folder called underscore generated. Now, I can change this folder. Instead of being underscore generated, I am going to call this as my created models. So, you can give any custom name like this. Now, I will close this, and now if I create any of the model and if I click accept here, you can see in the outliner the box is added, and at the same time if you come into the content in the maps folder, now I have a new folder called my created model, and if I open it, here is my username, and if you open this, you see the asset here. If I come here and delete the box, although the box is cleared from the outline, still in the content drawer you will be seeing the asset. So, most of the time when you are working, if you are creating a asset or a model in one level, and if you want to use it across different levels, then it is always better to use it as static mesh. So, right now if I select this, press del, and if I forcibly delete it, now the mesh is totally gone from our project. Coming back to our modeling mode, coming back to box, instead of static mesh, if I am going to use the second option volume, when I create the same cube and if I click accept, now you are going to see that this is added with the same name, but see this icon has changed, and this we call it as a volume. Volume means whatever model you are going to create in volume mode will not be visible. It is a hidden model, and why do we use this hidden model is, when we are working in this 3D environment, especially in a gaming environment, say you are building a game and a character is going to enter near a room, and as it comes near the room, the door should open. So, you need something to trigger the door opening, and here we can add this invisible volume there and attach a blueprint to this, so that as soon as we move inside this volume, the door is going to open. These empty volumes are used in a lot of places during game development. So, now I am going to select this and I am going to delete it. Now, again I will come back to box, and also in this volume, in the volume type, if you click, you can see such a long list of type of volumes that you can add. Trigger volume is going to trigger an event. So, you have physics volume which is going to trigger physics. That is, outside this volume gravity will not be working, or as soon as you enter inside gravity starts working, or it will be vice versa. So, like this you see a list of volume types available here. These things we can discuss it only when we come into the blueprint and game development level. As of now, the default is blocking volume, and you can next go into the next level which is called as the dynamic mesh. Now, in case of dynamic mesh, if I create a cube, now this cube, if I click accept, it is added like an actor symbol. Now, this symbol here indicates that this is dynamic model, and in this case what happens is, if you come into the content drawer, my created model Satvik, and if you see here, no model is saved in your content or on the hard disk as a file. This exists only within the level. Whenever you are doing modeling, if you are going to use a model temporarily only in that level and no other place, then we use this dynamic mesh. So, I think you are clear about these three stages. So, now I will select this box and delete it off. I will come back to box now, and I will choose the default static mesh here. And then the very next option you have here is the shape. This determines the shape properties, and whatever shape you are choosing, say for example, I have chosen the box, and in case of box you have three values here to determine what should be the size of your model, and you can see in all the three it is mentioned as 100. Now, you may ask, what is this 100? Whether it is 100 centimeters, 100 meters or 100 feet. Well, this 100 represents centimeters. In Unreal Engine, the default measuring unit is centimeters. If you come to edit, project setting, and here if I come and search for units, you can see here the distance is measured in centimeter, mass is measured in kilogram, time in second minutes, angle in degree. So, you have all the default units available in Unreal Engine. Now, you may think, can I come here in centimeter and change it to meter or feet to any other unit here? But this is not advisable, because although when you change this, the display and the model created in Unreal Engine, those scaling may change. When you are assessing it from blueprint and when you are assessing it through code, you have to still do the conversion, because in all those cases Unreal Engine natively recognizes length and distance using the unit centimeter. So, I always prefer you to leave it at centimeter and make all the changes here by converting any of the unit to centimeter. In our example, what we are now doing is, we are building a house or a residential complex for a cinema, wherein we have all the actors present in different floors here. The entire set has to be created in Unreal. This is a web series or a soap opera where the everyday family drama happens in 3 floors of a building, and now we want a customized building for that, and for that the very first thing is, the producer has contacted an architect and he has got us a plan. Drop this box here, and then I will click cancel as of now, and then if you come back to your Patreon page, there was one more asset that we downloaded, which is this house plan underscore images.zip. When you click on this, it gets downloaded. Now, I have this downloaded zip file. I am going to right click and I am going to extract those files, and if I open this file contains JPEG file given to us by an architect, and this contains the map of the building that we are supposed to create. So, you can go through the building like this, and you can see what is the dimensions and what is the building that we are supposed to build, and this is a 2D diagram. So, in construction industry, when you build a house or when you build a factory, the very first step in building construction is we create a plan from an architect, and this is that plan, and the plan is written using a CAD software and in a 2D drawing. Now, we have to give the user how the actual building looks. We have to create a walkthrough, or we have to create a set based on this drawing. Means we have to convert this drawing into a model, and this is what we are going to do it in our current session. So, save all these files in a folder. You create a folder like house asset and save it in that. And now, in this, the very first thing you have to know is the area or the dimension of our building will be 12.19 meter by 18.28 meter. I have to now create my land area, and I am going to make it using a box. I cannot enter it in meters. So, now what I have to do is I have to convert feet or meters or whatever might be the unit into centimeter. We can use our best friend Google. Say for example, if you want to convert from feet to centimeters, I come here and the dimension of my building will be 40 feet, and 40 feet is represented by, see, you get the centimeter value. Just copy this value and come over here. In the width I am going to paste it. Now, what should be the depth? The depth of my building is 60 feet, and this is the value. I will just Control C, copy it, come into Unreal Engine and paste it in the depth value. So, now I exactly have a box which is of the size of my apartment site, and only thing left is, because this is 3D, I have to give it the thickness, and for the current purpose I want this to be a 1 feet thick, say for example a cement plat or a cement block which is about 1 feet thick. Then if I come back here and if I type 1, you can now see it is 30.48 meters. So, I am going to copy this, and now in height I am going to paste it and press enter. After this shape, you have the second option here called as subdivisions, and here you can see 1 subdivision. And what is this subdivision is, see, if I come this over here, place it, then if I now click on accept, this is placed here, and once you click the accept, all those menu is gone. Plan what should be the dimension of your model or of your primitive shape beforehand, and before you click accept, see that you have created it correctly. If I come into the wireframe mode here, instead of lit, if I come into wireframe mode, what you are seeing here is actually just lines. In case of 5.6, you have 3 additional icons available on the top, and what does it indicate is, the first is the vertex. So, when I click on the vertex, you can now see I can select every individual vertices here. Say I can select only this vertex. So, to see it correctly, I will come here and enable lit wireframe, so that you are seeing the model and the wireframe together. Now, I can select only this and I can move this. I will just press Ctrl Z. Like this, I can edit my object at vertex level. Similarly, the second icon I have is called as edges, and when I select the edges, see, I can select only one edge like this. See, now I told you in the last class itself, Unreal Engine converts all models into triads. Means this one square which has 4 vertices In case of other modeling software, this will be a quad, this will be a single piece, but here you can see it is divided it into two triangles, and in the center you have one line, and this we call it as the edge. And if I drag this, see now the center edge is moving up. I will press Ctrl Z, and now the third option I have is face. So, when I select it with face and click here, see now only this face is selected, and if I want to select both the faces, with shift I select both, and if I just drag it up, if I move this up like this, so you can see here the Z value changing. Say I will press Ctrl Z and cancel it, and right now say I have created it with a height of 30.48, and then I decide this height I doesn't want it 1 feet, but I need 3 feet. Then I will come to my calculator and see what is 3 feet, it is 91.44. So, now if I come here and paste 91.44 and press enter, now this became 3 feet. So, I converted a 1 feet wall into a 3 feet wall by going into this edit mode. You have one button here. When I select this, the entire model select, and I can transform the entire model like this. I can move this entire model. But when I select this individual parts, I can either select only the vertices or the edges or the faces. And apart from it, you have 3 other icons here. The very first icon here is select mesh polygroup vertices. Now, the difference here is, in case of our practical application, if we are coming for 3D modeling here from other softwares like Blender or Maya or 3ds Max, whenever we want to select one face, see this entire top area is a single face for us, but Unreal is treating it as 2 faces. Now, if I come into this mode now, you can now see that my entire top area has changed into a single face. So, if I come here and click, see this entire area is changed into single face, and when I click here, this entire area, whatever line is covering these 4 corners is the edges, whereas in case of here, when I edge select it, it selects a triad or a triangle, but in this case it is going to select a square or the complete 4-edged quad, and you have the quad vertices selected here. This we call it as polygroup. We are going to explore this polygroup later, because this is very important in our modeling, and we are going to actually convert our triads into quads and edit it, because if it is a quad, it is very easy for us to edit the model. So, Unreal Engine converts your triads into quads and creates these polygroups. So, we are going to explore these polygroups in detail in further classes. Now, what I will do is, I will come back here and select this top layer, and I am going to move this to around 30.48 back, so that this is now 1 feet. I will click outside, and now I have a model which represents my site area. So, now I will come into my outliner, I will just press F2, and I am going to rename this as SM. SM stands for static mesh site underscore area. And now, if I right click and choose browse to asset, in my, because I have used a static mesh, in my content folder I have this box underscore, this is the file which has been saved on my hard disk. So, to give it a proper name, even here I will select this, right click and choose rename, and I am going to call SM. This is naming convention we use in Unreal Engine. SM stands for static mesh underscore site area. And now it is going to actually change its name in all the linked references. And then if you come to file and choose save all, if I come to content here and select this map, and you have one option here, show in Explorer. When I click on show in Explorer, see now in your project Satvik content maps, in your my created models in Satvik, I actually have this model on my hard disk. I can even copy it from this and use it even in some other project. This was just an introduction session about how to do modeling in Unreal Engine, and we have explored the basic. Now in our next session, we are going to go in detail with every component we have in this create and understand it. And as we understand it, from this empty site, whatever building you are seeing next to me, a building like this will be constructed in Unreal Engine. So let us meet in our second session about create mode of modeling tools in our next session. Thank you.